know, 3 weeks ago tonight, California voters approved Proposition 8, banning further same-sex marriages in that state. But tonight, indications that after protests and pleas, if the vote were to be taken tomorrow, Prop 8 would be defeated. The number one story in the countdown, the pushback on Prop 8 in the courts, perhaps in the next election, and evidently in the heart. The same institution that granted what turned out to be 18,000 couples the right to marry, the California Supreme Court is agreeing to review the legality of the proposition that took those rights away. But it is an opinion poll by Survey USA that is turning the most heads. 500 California voters, 198 of them who told pollsters they voted for the ban. 8% now say the recent protests had caused them to change their minds. Another 2% not sure. The margin by which Prop 8 passed was less than 5%. 52.3 to 47.7, thus with the caveats that they didn't ask anybody who voted against the ban if they had changed their minds, and it's just a poll, and there's no second vote scheduled. There is still some evidence that another vote might go the other way. I'm joined now by Candice Gingrich, who heads up the Youth and Campus Outreach Program for the Human Rights Campaign. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you, Keith.
Does that poll number startle you? Do you assign any meaning to it?
To me, it just exemplifies the progress that's being made on people understanding what marriage equality is all about. I mean, it's been, what you said, 3 weeks since the election, but people have continued having conversations about this issue. They've continued seeing the families that are affected by having their marriage taken away from them. And the dialogue has continued, and that's a very powerful thing, to just not stop the discussion, you know, after the vote's been lost, but to continue it. And I want to thank you, Keith, because your rant was exactly, you know, what was needed. It was continuing that dialogue, and you helped a lot more people understand the issue. Well,
thank you for saying that. It seems so obvious to me. I still don't understand that there's any vote on the other side, but I'm sure you agree with me on that. Deconstruct what's happening in California. What do you think? Is it mostly about conscience on the issue, or is there also something folding into people's thinking here, the idea that Prop 8 might be a precedent to take almost any right away from any group?
I think it's both of those things, Keith. I mean, on one hand, the conscious thing, people understand now more what Prop 8 actually did. You know, they know now that what it did was it took rights away from people. And once they realized that it wasn't about the things that the proponents of Prop 8 said it was about, they realized that they did the wrong thing and they would vote differently. And the second part of that is something that I think is chilling to all of California and maybe even America, this idea that you can put the rights of one particular group up to a popular vote. I mean, that's scary.
Candice, how does the president-elect figure in this? I mean, he had said he defines marriage as one man, one woman, but he also said, let me read the quote, "I think my faith is strong enough and my marriage is strong enough that I can afford those civil rights to others even if I have a different perspective or a different view." Where is he on this?
Well, I think he speaks very clearly and very simply to what, you know, the fact of the matter is that, you know, marriage equality for gay and lesbian couples doesn't threaten anything or anyone's marriage. It is not something that people should have to fear. And he said very simply, you know, this is about, you know, people's civil rights, and they should be afforded to folks whether or not he personally agree with them or not.
You wrote a particularly powerful letter to your own brother, Newt Gingrich, after he alleged there was, and I'll quote his part here, a gay and secular fascism in this country that wants to impose its will on the rest of us. In your letter, you said that the world's changing, that using the gay community as a political weapon is, to quote you, so 90s. But if that's true, why did it work in the case of Prop 8, even as the Democrats swamped the Republicans in the same ballot in California?
Well, I think it goes back again to the idea that the issue of marriage equality is still a really new one. You know, all of America, I think, has a better understanding of, you know, what it means to protect gays from job discrimination, what it means to make sure that gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people, you know, aren't the victims of hate crimes, or if they are, that it's prosecuted the right way. Marriage is still a really, really new issue, and the dialogue, the conversation, you know, continues on. And one thing that we know that I think the election showed us, the presidential election showed us, was that America very soundly rejects this idea of kind of divide and conquer, this idea of fear-mongering and scapegoating. And, you know, the issue that one group of people should be denied a particular thing, because of who they are, should be denied a basic right, is one that with just the passing of time, all of America will come to realize is one that we shouldn't support.
I hope you're right. I assume neither you nor I convinced your brother, however.
Passage of time, Keith, the passage of time.
Candice Gingrich with the Human Rights Campaign. Great, thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you, Keith.